I'm back, everybody. Just bear with us. So, you know, these technical difficulty problems we have, you know, through internet and stuff, you know, sometimes it's so confusing. I can see why I'm losing my hair some days, you know, because the internet and all this stuff, you know, so. But yeah, it's not easy when it comes to the internet, you know, you have those problems, connections and whatnot. Hopefully everything's corrected and we're ready to zoom and ready to go. So, we'll just hopefully wait for Miss Barbara to join us again. Hang with me one sec. Just had to send her a little message that we're on, so. But these, I hate technical difficulties when it comes to the internet and whatnot, you know, so. This is Obsidian. He's my baby. He's always got to be in the picture too, don't you, big boy? Yes. So, hi Mary Lou. We're just having a few technical difficulties here tonight. I don't know why, for some reason. And again, she's got no link. I don't understand what's going on here. Can you send me your link, Barb? Maybe that's the problem. It's telling me to add a new link, so. I'm gonna ask her to send me a link, and I'll see if I can hopefully we'll get this on the roll in a minute, people. It's not the first time I went through problems like this before, you know, and some days it's time consuming, sometimes. I'm trying to get her attention. Oh dear. Okay. She just messaged me, so we're sending replies back and forth right now, so she's gonna try sending me a link, hopefully. I'm going through my settings at the moment right now. So I'm gonna send her a message. Uh, okay, here we go, everybody. I believe Miss Barbara's on her way on.
Hello.
Hello. How are you
So
tonight?
I was using my laptop, not my phone,
Okay.
and there's nothing when you use your laptop at all. As soon as I put you on my phone, it was right there to send an invite to join.
Okay.
But there was nothing at all on my laptop. I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I went and got my phone, and sure enough, there it was. Simple, easy peasy.
You might want to hit your little camera or something at the top because I can't see you.
Um, Hold on. What's it showing? It shows me talking to you at the bottom here, but I don't know if there's another camera button or a reverse or no. You still can't see me?
No, but that's okay. I can hear you. Can everybody else see Miss Barbara? Could be on my end too because I'm still new trying to figure this stuff out too, right? So,
Yeah, I couldn't. There was no way I could find anything at all on my laptop, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then finally, I just went and got my phone, and there it was. But I'm not sure what I can do.
okay. So how
There.
are you? Okay, people can see you. So,
Okay,
all
that's good.
right.
Somebody can see me.
Yes. So, how were your ghost tours last night?
They were really good last night. We had a lot of fun. Um, we had about 20 people last night.
That's a good turnout.
Yeah, we usually sell out with 30 people. I cap it off at 30. So during October, we'll sell 2 nights, like we'll sell 2 tours a night. So it gets pretty hectic during the holiday season, as I call it.
Oh, trust me, I know I did them around Halloween, and you get pretty swamped.
Yeah, you do. If you do it any time around there, yeah, it's gets pretty crazy. But I want to try and do them now because the weather's nice.
Yeah,
And in October it rains and it's freezing cold. I'm like, please, let's go for September. Let's try and move the spooky season to September.
that's good. Uh, sorry I couldn't make it last night.
Oh, I figured you were probably busy.
but I'm gonna try to make it for September.
Yeah, like anyone, just give me a shout that you're coming and then I can, make room for you. It'd be great to have you come. You'd be really surprised what I've got here. You'd be really surprised.
Well, I got a friend here that's on tonight. Her name's Mary Lou. I might ask her to join us one night to get up there in September.
Yeah. Like even if there's a night that you want to come in and I'll just meet you, we'll just go downtown and I'll just show you some of these spots. Like you wouldn't believe what we've discovered here when I was doing the research for the ghost tours.
Yeah. Anytime you
That's
go
that's
ahead.
what that's what brought T&E here. That's what brought the paranormal channel here. Was my
Yeah,
ghost tours locations, right? What we
exactly.
discovered. What we discovered was just unbelievable and they were like, wow. So
Yes. Same goes for you. Anytime you want to come down this way, I'll give you a tour around this town. Abandoned
yeah.
site stuff. And oh, okay. Obsidian. Hey. No, no. Come on. Hey, leave my using alone. Come on. He's just a show off here.
Yeah.
Ah. Sorry, I got two strawberry ears right now.
My dogs can't reach me up here, so I'm glad. I've got them locked in the other room so they don't attack me while I'm online.
Yes. Every time I'm online, he does this to me.
We started the ghost tours about 3 years ago, and I always have lots of paranormal experiences. I seem to attract stuff, and I put online, does anybody else have any experiences in downtown Strathroy? And I was swamped with people who were coming forward with ghost stories. And it was very interesting to hear the different versions, but the same story, but different versions. And it depended on their age and when they were telling the story of when it happened to them. And we
Yeah,
found certain apartments in downtown, no matter the age of the people telling me the story, it was the same story that was happening in that same apartment.
exactly. But you come this way. I know I understand you when you get flooded because you ask a question sometimes and you just get flooded with either comments, emails, or messages, and it. I understand where you're coming from because I was asking questions about the downtown area so I could do ghost tours and that, eh? And a lot of the people there were saying, check out the art gallery, check out our museum and this and that. And the more you research about the areas, you sure do find out the activity.
Oh yeah, it's all linked to history. So, like in the T&E, My Haunted Hometown, they called it paranormal looping, and that's probably the best explanation for it. Is it's just residual energy that's just caught in a loop, that's just
Exactly.
looping constantly. It just doesn't stop. But once you identify it, it's still there. We're like, you can go, but they're like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. This is what I'm stuck doing for eternity. I'm like, okay, have fun with that. We'll talk to you later. Know.
You ever get the question, how come you're never scared of the activity?
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people will tell me that they experience stuff during the tour, and I'm like, really? It's like, okay. And then I said, you really believe this shit? And then they just look at me and they don't know what to do. And then I start laughing. I'm like, no, it's okay. I made sure everybody was well protected before we even started.
Yes.
But I always give them, what, you really believe this? And then they just look at me and they think, what? And I just laugh. I always give people a little run for their money once in a while.
Yes.
There's certain businesses in downtown Strathroy that I can't walk by because they told me I actually have a cease and desist, like stop walking by their business letter from a lawyer because we're bringing ghosts to their establishments and customers are scared now.
Yes.
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, get out. We're just walking by. That's all we're doing.
So what would be the most haunted place that you think would be in Stratford or Strathroy?
One of the most haunted places is Frank Street, all of Frank Street. I don't know why. Front Street is the old native trail, the
Okay.
indigenous trail that used to go from like Ipperwash area all the way to Wapoo Island. So the town's kind of on a funky angle, and it's because one of the founders of Strathroy, one of the original members that first come here, it was his driveway was Frank Street, and it's kind of on a weird angle, and he developed that. So that's why we're kind of awkward downtown. We're kind of in a weird triangle position because it
Okay.
actually followed his driveway. But it's his driveway that is super haunted, and we don't know why. It's everywhere on it. It's like a 3 block part of town.
That's amazing.
It's very strange. It's very, very, and the closer you get to his house, the stronger it is. His
You know, it
house has
almost
been
makes me
long
want
gone.
to. It almost makes me want to come for a visit now.
Yeah, well, his house has been long gone for many, many years. And we've tried to find a picture of the gentleman because he was on town council, but there's no pictures of him whatsoever.
Okay.
So we've tried. I've worked with the girls at the museum and the library. There's some really nice staff at the museum and the library who are willing to help me. And because I had no clue when I went into the library to look at reference books, I had no idea what I was looking for. So thankfully, there were some really nice women who just said, "Here, psst, look at this book right here." And I was like, "Oh, thank you," you know. And so they helped me out a lot to point me in the right directions. And what I discovered was just crazy. It's just crazy.
Have you ever tried ancestria.ca to see if you can get a photo?
No, I'm quite sure she already has.
Okay. Mary Lou just asked the question. She
Yeah,
goes,
did somebody pass away?
yeah.
How many do you want me to count?
How many is there,
There's
Mary Lou?
probably I can name about 25 right now.
Wow.
It's just, well, we had a serial killer here at one time, and that was his stalking grounds. This
Yeah, I
that
remember
same
you telling me
that
that.
same path, yeah, the same path, yeah.
Yeah, because I did that article on you, back about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, there's been a few books written about it. The town gets a little upset if I say we're the serial killer capital of the world. They get really mad at me and they say we're not, it's London, Ontario. And I said, no, it's Middlesex County, which includes London and Strathroy. And they say,
Yes,
no, it's only London. And I said, well, then why is the picture of the serial killer from Strathroy on the book? And then they're
exactly.
like, okay. And I said, and didn't he kill a lot of people? Oh, yeah. And I said, well, isn't he part of it? Like, isn't he the so I forget the name of the gentleman who wrote the one book. I'm really bad with names lately. It's old age, I guess. But he was a detective and he works at Western University and wrote the book about the serial killers. And he actually figures that there's like more than what there was ever known. Like he figures that there was like close between 30 and 50 women killed.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, the kicker is when I was doing all that research, I was finding just regular ghost stories and I wasn't too much into the murder stuff. You know, I was just trying to leave that alone. And we looked up my little house. I live in a very small little cottage and it's very old. On the deed it says it was 1934 or 1903 or something like that. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty old. So when the TV crew come in here, they had sent some researchers down ahead of time, and we spent a lot of time together doing some research. And we discovered that the very original man that come here from Ireland, and they had
Uh-huh.
gave him hectares, lots of land, like thousands of acres of land, like hectares of land. And it went from Strathroy to London. And over the years, it's all been subdivided. And he had a house just about maybe a half mile, maybe a mile away from my house. And my house was the bunkhouse for his house. But he had all this property and it went quite a distance. It ended here in Strathroy, but it went towards London area. So they mapped out his original land and they laid it down on a map, and then they mapped out all the murders from the serial killers. And I'd say 3/4 of them were on that property. The only thing that is still here to this day from that original property is my house.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have 2 ley lines that cross over my house. So it
Have
just
they,
keeps getting a little bit crazier every time you go. Like it's a little crazier. So
yeah. No, speaking of serial killers, I actually got an artifact from one. You ever heard of Ted Bundy?
Yep.
Okay, I actually bought this off a police auction back a few years ago, and this is actually a dime that I got from one of his murder victims.
Oh,
It's an American dime,
yep.
and it's from, I guess, one of his victims from Florida.
He was pretty active, so
Yeah. So when I seen that online, you know me, I had to buy it.
you had to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and hide from
Yeah.
everything. Being a psychic and clairvoyant, and I try not to like go and look for stuff. Like I try and avoid stuff most of my life. That's what I've always did. I run from it. I don't want anything to do with it. But it seems to find me, no
Uh-huh.
matter what. It always finds me. So
Yeah.
I've had to learn how to block it and how to protect myself. And now I'm okay with it. But before I wouldn't go near anything like that dime. I'd be like, no, I don't need that energy around me right now. But now it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it. So when I did my ghost tour, the very first couple of ghost tours I did, the serial killer's family and some of his victims' family attended the tours. So that's pretty hard to, you got to stick with the facts.
Yes.
You got to keep it real. And a lot of people aren't happy that I'm bringing it up. It's old history and they don't want it brought up to life again.
Yes.
So I
So,
tried to go back further than just that. Like I tried to dig back as far back as when the town first started. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. There is a lot of good stuff.
yes.
Back in the 1800s, the mid 1800s, like they were crazy back then. They didn't like you. They just burned you down or shot you. Like they didn't care. Like that's just how they were. When the Irish come over here, they didn't care. They brought that feud with them and they were acting on it and there was nothing you were going to do. People are like, "Oh, the Black Donnellys." I'm like, "No, that was in every town." You know.
Exactly.
It
If you ever did
was.
even the history of St. Thomas, so they lost a lot of that city due to fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Our
and
downtown's burnt down at least three different times. It was like $1.5 million back in the early 1800s, and I was like,
uh,
holy moly. But it kept happening, and it just kept happening over and over again. And it's very interesting. Like, was there a serial arsonist, or was it just the olden days, or like just because they didn't have fire prevention and lanterns, or but some of the interesting things were some of the fire chiefs that worked here actually wrote books about it. That's how significant it was. And
yeah,
it wasn't just downtown. Like if somebody built a new factory that had employed people, it burnt down. So anything new that was coming in that was significant always burnt down.
wow. Uh, I haven't been to Strathroy in about 9, 10 years now, but the more you're telling me, the more I want to come.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy down here. So at one point when I started my ghost tour mission, I thought I'd go into each business on Frank Street and introduce myself and say, hey, I'm doing ghost tours. Is there any way, you'd like to chat with me? Do you have a ghost in your building, or is there any stories you'd like to share with me? And this is what caught T&E's attention is I went into each building, each business, and there's
Hmm.
about 30 or 40 of them. And almost three-quarters of them told me this exact wording. Yes, we have a ghost. He's a nice guy. He moves things, he opens doors, he does things, but he's a real nice guy. We call him Frank, and no, we don't want to be part of your ghost tour and leave him alone. And when I walked into the next business, it was almost word for word. And I said, do you know the people next door? And they're like, no. And then I went into the next business and I get the same thing. And it just went all the way down the street. When I was all done, I thought, okay, who is this Frank guy and what the hell's going on? So I went over to the museum and I said to the girls, why is Frank Street named Frank Street? Who is he? What's going on? I need to know. I said, there's something weird. And I started to tell her what was going on. And she thought it was very strange too, even though she's not quite a believer in paranormal. She's more of a museum researcher. And she said, I'm, very interested now, she said. So she started to look them up. And she knew a little bit about them from her own research and, working with town hall and stuff. And so she dove a little deeper. And what we discovered was that that was his driveway. He had donated the land for the town hall. He donated the land for the market that we had there back in the day. And he also donated the land to the CN and Davia so
Mhm.
they could have the railway station there. He also gave loans and helped people build a building and a business. And people
Yeah.
could build businesses all the way down his street. He kind of subdivided his driveway and made it into the town. And I thought, wow, he must have been loaded. He had a lot of money. And she said, yeah. She said he was a very wealthy man. She said if he was doing that. And I said, yes. And so we got looking into it. And at the very end of it, we noticed that when he died, his wife had to get money to bury him. She had to borrow money to bury him. And we were like, what? He's rich. What's going on? He subdivided the whole of downtown and built it. Like, what's going on here? So we got looking into it, and she went in a little bit further more than I could. And she come back and she said, there's something really weird here. And I said, why? She says, because he gave out loans to all these people to start their businesses, but nobody ever paid him back. Nobody paid him. Nobody paid him. They paid him a little bit, but not enough. And he was such a nice guy, he never asked for his money. Like he never got put his foot down and went in to get the money. So he died before 1900, and he died in London at a hospital of heart attack. And his wife had to remarry within 3 months in order to survive with her kids. And I
Mhm.
just thought, like, how would that ever happen? And then what struck me was, wait a minute, these people in these businesses on his street now are still protecting him. And they don't know this story. We just dug it up. It took me 3 weeks with her help to figure that out. So how would they know that? They're just little businesses they're all independent. One's a dentist office, one's real estate, one's insurance, one's a hairdresser, but they were all telling me the same thing. Leave him alone, he's a nice guy. I
I
don't
know
know.
what you mean. I've been there.
And I'm just like, how does that work? Like, how does that work? How do they know he's a nice guy? How do they know that? Is he still there with those businesses every day?
Have you ever been into a town before where you've asked questions and all of a sudden the whole public just they give you the like how I put it, the snivel, and they basically want you to leave the town?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they don't want me doing the ghost tours at all. Like I'm really having a hard time. So I tried to host one by the cemetery because the library had one every Halloween at the cemetery. The library hosted a tour of the cemetery, and I thought, oh, I'd like to do one. The city was on me within 2 hours of making the post to cease and desist and take it down, and I'm banned from the cemetery now.
Yes. So, excuse me. So you've also been on television shows like Haunted Hospital and My Ghost Stories and so on?
Yeah, I've been on Haunted Hospital with one of my experiences, my ghost story with another local experience, and I've been on a few shows with some from pretty significant experiences that I've had. They've all been documented, and other people have witnessed it, so that's why you're allowed to be on the show. You have to have proof of what happened.
Exactly.
So, my haunted hospital, a lot of people don't know when they air the show, it's called Parasitic Entities, is what it's
Hmm.
called. And it's about being sick in the hospital and too weak to protect yourself. And then the darkness comes out and tries to feed off of you, and it will suck the last little bit of life you have out of you to
Yeah.
survive. And then you'll die. So I experienced that after a heart attack, that it come after me. And the stuff that was happening to me at the hospital was crazy, was just crazy. I actually know that it took the lady across the hall from me's life because I was talking to her and she went to bed and I watched it go in her room and she never come out. They went in there with the sheet and covered her up a couple hours later.
And I just lost what I was just going to say. Give me a moment here.
Yeah, it's pretty hard pressed to get me to go back to the St. Thomas Hospital, I'll tell you that.
And people don't understand that. Like I'm a medium myself, right? I don't like hospitals. I refuse to go to them, you know, and if I have to go to them, the person's either very special for me to go see them and not because they don't understand what we see.
Oh yeah, I see stuff all the time when I'm in hospitals, but that was pretty scary because I wasn't able to protect myself. I was too sick
Exactly.
to protect myself, and they knew it, and that's when they were coming, right?
Yes.
But it was just there was something about that hospital. I've been in like London hospital, I've had heart surgeries, I've had all sorts of stuff. When I got to London, I don't see anything like that. It was just like it was an old rundown ward that had very, very negative energy, and the people that worked there seemed to be very, very negative.
Hmm.
And it just kind of fueled it. It just kind of fueled it there. But it
Yes.
wasn't a good situation to be in at all. But like your story and what they put on TV are like very different because they have to make it sell for TV, right? So they
That's
hype
right.
it right up and they make it a lot worse than, than it is, but it is still pretty terrifying like to see that, like you have to go through that, you have to live through that, and it's not good. Like you see stuff.
Yes.
But when the Grim Reaper, or whatever you want to call it, it's black and it fills the room, it's bent over inside the room and it's just a big black mass. That's what it was, walking up and down that hallway. And you could see it go by the room, and I'd be like, you stay out of my room, and I kept doing that. And one day I fell asleep because I was tired. I was waiting for heart surgery to go to London. And when I woke up, it was right beside my bed and it was trying to drain me.
I know
So
that feeling of draining.
yeah, no, it's not, it's not fun. Another one experience that I had that was on my ghost story, it was titled episode 60, I think. It's Psychic Sisters. And I was at a doctor's appointment, and when I was done, um, I said to them, I don't want to leave yet. There's something weird going to happen when I leave. So I'm going to sit here for a little bit. Do you mind if I wait in the office? And they looked at me like, oh, she's crazy. And I said, yeah, well, if you think whatever you want, I'm just going to sit here and read this magazine for a few minutes and I'll see how I feel in a few more minutes. But I didn't want to leave. And they were teasing me because they had got to know me pretty well. And they were like, are you sure, the mojo's okay to go? And I was like, yeah, I think it is now. I think I can leave. And I only left there about 5 minutes, and there was a head-on collision right in front of me. The car in front of me had been hit head-on. And the gentleman in the car that had hit the guy in front of me head-on had passed away in the car. And while I was getting out to help, the one gentleman had walked by his car, was in his car trying to help him, and then I was trying to help the people in the car in front of me. And he come up to me and he said, whatever you do, don't go to that car. Stay away from that car. And I said, well, should we be doing CPR? And he just said, trust me, don't go to that car. And I said, okay. So I kept working with the people. And then I said, does anybody want to get in my car to get it? Because it was snowing. And I said, does anybody want to get in my car? It's nice and dry and, and nobody listened, nobody come. So when the paramedics finally arrived, they started helping everybody, and I went and sat in my car, and I couldn't go anywhere, so I just sat
Exactly.
there. And when I looked in my rear view, there was somebody in the back seat, and I thought, well, when did he get in the car? I didn't see him. And I turned to say something to him, and there was nobody there, but yet I could see him in the rear view mirror. So I thought, okay, and I just kept watching him in the rear view mirror, and he was watching them work on that car that the guy had passed. And he just sat there and stared at that car, and they were like trying to cut the guy out and do CPR and everything still. And he sat there and watched. And I said, wow, like that's the guy from that car. He's watching, but he's sitting in the safety of my car because I said, does anybody need help? So that's probably why he come to my car. So when everybody was done and gone and the police come up to my car and they knocked on the window and they said, could you come out and give us a statement? And I said, yeah, I can. And they said, and tell your passenger that he'll need to give one too. And I'm like, no, it's just me. And then they got all mad and they thought whoever was in the car with me had left the scene.
Okay, I remember my question I was going to ask you now. When was your first time having an experience?
Probably when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
It's about my age too. I was 5 years old.
Yeah, I had people in my room that shouldn't have been in my room. And the more I yelled for my parents to come kick them out, the more trouble I got. So you learn to try and defend yourself, right? But I remember
Yeah.
pulling the covers up over my head, thinking that they were going to go away, and they were pulling the covers back. And I thought, wow, this is not no ghost, and my mom's not, you know. And I just thought, you get out of my room. And when I said that, they left the room, and I could hear them leave the room. Like they walked through my door, and I could hear them walking down the hallway. And my parents yelled up from the basement below me, the rec room, and said, "We hear you walking around up there. You get back in your bed." And I remember being in my bed going, holy shit, you know, what the hell's going
Yeah.
on? You know? Yeah. No, it happens like when you have the ability, it just happens. And I think the more you develop it as you get older, the more you trust it and learn that it's real, then the
Yeah.
faster it comes and the more you develop it. And a lot of people just ignore it when they're little and don't ever develop it, right?
That's right. And even at that age, at certain times, you know when to speak and when not to. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just know.
Yeah. I just knew to tell it to get the hell out of my room, right? And it did. It listened
Exactly.
and left, right? So then I knew I had the power, right?
Yeah.
But still, as a teenager, like, you know, I was terrified of, you know, anything dark, right?
Yeah.
My whole life, like, I was terrified of darkness or anything on the dark side. And I'd see lots of stuff and I'd be like, holy, but I'd be with my other teenage girlfriends and I'd be like, did you see that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I just seen this. And they'd look at me like, holy crap. And I'd be like, yeah. Then we'd all be scared, you know?
Yes. And oh, just that's what I was going to say again. But the other day, anyways, I was down at the graveyard with my son. We walk down there at least once or twice a week, anyway. And I happened to look over, and I at first thought I actually saw something. You know, I said to him, "Did you see that lady over there?" And he looked at me with a smile on his face, and he goes, "I don't think so, Dad." Well, what happened? She actually laid down on a bench.
Oh,
And then a few minutes later, she sat up, and I looked over again. And I looked at him, and I go, "Is she actually sitting there and standing now? I should say standing there now." And he looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, I see her." I go, "Okay, so my eyes ain't playing tricks on me, but there is a man that's in that graveyard, wears a black suit. And the funniest thing is, he always knows when we're coming down the street because he will sit there and greet us at the gate.
oh,
My son can't see him, but my dog can,
yeah,
you know, so
yeah. In our town, one of the short stories that I wrote was a haunted ghost car at the graveyard. And I was at the graveyard one time, and it's very close to our train station. I was waiting to pick up my husband at the train station, and it was snowing. And I thought, oh, I got 5 minutes. I'll just cruise around through the graveyard and look at the pretty trees and the tombstones all covered in snow and
yes,
pass some time rather than sitting in the parking lot because it's kind of like a big U. You just go around a big U. It's just like a little detour, right? So I
yeah,
did that. And when I was sitting there, a car come up behind me like really fast. I thought, holy crap, what's this guy doing? So I thought, oh, here's another exit. So I took the exit and just turned in and waited for him to go by me. And then I was going to back out and continue back on that road again. And when I pulled in that spot, I looked and there was no car. And I thought, well, where did the guy go? And I kept looking and I couldn't see him. So I backed out onto the road and started to go and realized that there was no tire tracks. It was only mine. And
yes.
there was nothing in front of me. And I was like, wow, that was just freaky. I said, because that was a ghost car. I said, that was just strange.
In one of my music videos, if you watch it, the song's titled "Lost in the Fade." We're on our way up to Lions Valley Park there in oh, let me. I'll get to it in a minute. I got a TBI from being hit by a car back a while ago, so sometimes it takes me a while to.
To recover your thoughts, I get it.
Yeah,
I had a bad work accident in 2008 and I'm in a wheelchair part-time and I got a lot of memory problems and few issues with
yes.
trying to find words every once in a while.
So what I do during my broadcasts, I don't write anything down because I try to remember everything. So Oakville, there we go, Oakville, Ontario.
There it
Lions Valley
is.
Park. But anyways, if you watch the one video, you could actually see me. I looked down at my leg because I felt something go like this, right? But in the video, you can see a bright orb go whizzing by
Yeah.
towards the camera, right? And we even replay it in that video. But what caught my attention was I was about to get up on a ledge, and it felt like one of my teammates whacked my leg. And in the video, you can actually see me turn around and look at them, and I
The,
just continued my
the orb
way.
the orb going by.
Yeah, but I didn't see the orb, right?
Yeah, not until you look at the video, right?
Exactly. But then there was one. I was in Two Eyes in Beachville, and in this video, I actually saw the orb because you can see in the video when they play it, my head goes like this, and I follow it until it disappears. But when that thing came on, right, it almost felt like it touched my nose as it was going by.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I just looked at my team. I didn't say anything. And next, Connor, he comes back to me, I don't know, about a couple weeks later, and he goes, "Did you know your face basically followed an orb in the video?" I said, "Yeah, I know, I seen it." And he goes, "How do you see things like that?" I said, "Being a medium."
Yeah, you just sense stuff, right?
And I said, "A lot of the times," I said, "you catch it on the corner of your eye, and then once you focus, you can keep right on
Yeah.
the object,
Still,
eh?" And
yeah.
uh, I'll actually send you that video where you can actually you'll see me just follow it, and
Yeah.
it looks like the thing comes up, touches my nose, and takes off. And at the same time, their equipment's just going off at the same time, eh?
Yeah.
But the one in the one video, Lost in the Fade, our music video there, I was about to hop on a ledge, and it just felt like something just came by, tapped me like that, and just continued. And I honestly thought it was a teammate. But the reason why I didn't say anything that night, because I noticed they're far enough back, so I didn't say a word. So I waited for the video to come in, and sure enough, he right in that spot. And he goes, "Did you feel anything touch you that night?" I said, "Remember I said something to you when we were walking towards the graveyard? I said, I felt like one of you guys slapped me in the leg." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "That was probably the moment."
Yeah.
He goes,
It
"Well, we
probably
actually got
was.
it on video."
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain to other people that don't get the sense and the feel of it, right?
Exactly.
I'm really careful with like electronics because I find electronics are so powerful with the spirits coming through them. That's how your loved ones will talk to you when they pass now. People don't even get it.
Yes.
And I'm like, hello, tune into your phone because that's where they're gonna connect. For some reason it's easy for them to connect that way. And they
Yes.
can they'll alter all the videos that when you're scrolling on Facebook, they'll put them all in place for you to watch and people are like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, no, it's not. Pay attention to what you're scrolling because it's there for a reason. You think it's the algorithms, and 99% of it probably is, but somehow there's some influence there from them.
That's what I was going to say earlier was I think the reason why a lot of people are so afraid of the paranormal is because they don't understand it like you and I would, as
Yeah.
much research and that we've done. And like, I've got these haunted objects right here in my home, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people won't come to my home. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
just don't understand. And at first, I couldn't understand why. So I asked a few of them, right? And they said, "Well, one doll you got?" And I said, "Yeah." "Which is this one?" They said, "She moves." I said, "I know." And it was funny because the last person that was here, she basically didn't say a word. She just looked at me and she goes, "Gotta go." And I'm like, "Why? What happened?" She's like white in the face, eh? And she goes, "Well, no, I just gotta go right now, right?" Well, after she left, about a couple hours later, she texts me and she goes, "Does that doll move?" I said, "Honestly," I go, "back then at the time, I really didn't know." I said, "Honestly, I don't know, but the story is that she's supposed to move." So after that, I decided, okay, I'm going to put some cameras in my home,
Yep.
you know,
So you can
and
watch her.
yes. So on the cameras, there's a few videos where I actually got her where she's actually moving.
Yeah.
So I sent that off to a couple paranormal teams, and they're really interested in her, eh? But the one thing I want them to be interested in is actually what's in this case. What's in this case back here? Okay. Every time I open that up, you can feel the energy just come right off the thing. All right. It's a debunk box. And I had a phone call from a lady and her husband to please come pick this thing up and to come check it out first, right? So I went up there, check it out, and first thing she says to me, she goes, "You're not going to open that in here, are you?" I said, "Well, I'd like to." She goes, not in my home, please." I said, "Why?" She goes, "I don't care where you open it, just don't open it in my house." So I didn't think nothing of it. You still there, Barb?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't think nothing of it, so I took it out of their home and then I stayed around, chatted with them for a little bit as I took it out of the vehicle. And at the time, because I had my one friend, Richard, he drove us around with the paranormal and all that. So we went up there, we took it out of the home. I had an interview with them and all that. I took their information. Well, I brought this thing home. I opened excuse my language, but the darn lid, just for a few seconds, my lights in the inside of my apartment just totally went black.
Yeah.
My dog started freaking out, and I did have gloves on. I was getting ready to bring the whole thing right out of the thing, and I don't like taking it on. I've only taken it on a few times, but the energy off this thing, I don't like it myself. I prefer to keep it in there. I understand what they mean. And
Do you know who the original owner was that they got it from?
I don't know who the original owner is, where they got it from, but I got this from a family down in Mississauga. I'm just going to show you what it looks like in the inside. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can feel that right now, and I don't like the energy coming off that at the moment. So I'm just going to,
Zip it back up. Contain it.
yeah, it's the contain the energy inside there. So,
Yeah.
uh, have you ever watched the one movie of Chris Chambers?
I don't think so.
Well, if you ever do have a chance, he opened up one of those debunk boxes, and to this day, he's actually gone insane.
Yep.
They can't figure out how to get rid of the activity because he actually opened the thing and released whatever was on it there.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me if I'm going to open mine. I said, no.
We'll just leave it.
I said, I wouldn't even send that to my worst enemy.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
some
you
things are
know.
just better left not played with, right? You just
And they
leave
go,
them, right?
and they're like, well, why do you got it? I said, well, one, it was given to me. I said, second of all, I rather have it instead of somebody that doesn't have the knowledge to know what it's for or what it does and what so, it's at least
Yeah.
it's off the streets, it's in good hands. I said, that's not the only thing I got. I said, I got old spell books from back from the 15th, 16th, 17th century, and I even got old Bibles.
What did you think of Matt Rife and them buying the Warrens Museum?
What's that?
What did you think of Matt Rife and the comedian and them buying the Warrens
Oh,
Museum?
I honestly think that's pretty cool, but I don't think Annabelle actually killed him. That Matt Reeves. I mean, not Matt Reeves.
No,
Dan.
he had a medical issue, right? It's
Yeah,
probably just a coincidence, but a lot of people are
exactly.
gonna nail Annabelle for it, right? She
But
is
like,
a force not to be played with, but
yeah, I
yeah,
even seen a police report from that because I got my sources through things, right? And even in the police report, it says that the Annabelle doll was not in the room with him at the time
yeah,
of the
yeah,
death, and a lot of people were arguing over me with that, trying to say, yeah, it was, and this and that. So I even showed them the police report. Like, how could it be when the police themselves said that the Annabelle doll wasn't in there, and it was basically that, so far as they know, it's a natural cause.
Yeah,
And
I've been in Ryan Buell's chats for a while, and it's pretty interesting. It's just very, very
yeah,
interesting, right? You know,
there's a doll here in Ontario that I want to buy, but I don't think the guy's gonna move. He's from Diablo's Manor. If you ever search that online, you want to check this place out. I did an article on him back about a year or so ago about Diablo's Manor. I can't think of the name of the doll right now, but I honestly think Isabel would be so in love with him.
yeah, I come home one time and I noticed the energy in my house was different, and I
Yeah,
couldn't figure out what was going on. And I thought, who is in my house that shouldn't be in here? And I started to clean my house. And then my husband come up to me and he said that two of our friends were cleaning out an apartment and they found these dolls and they thought I might want them and they put them in my garage. And I knew I wasn't even in the garage. I was in the house and I was like,
yeah,
what the hell? So I went out there and looked at them and said, yeah, no, you guys gotta go. So I put them in the dumpster in front of the house and said, see you later. You know, I don't know where they were going, but they weren't staying at my house. I'll tell you that.
yes.
I just got rid of them.
I got this one guy here from Wade's Manor in Woodstock, the Clown.
Yep.
And first I didn't think that there was haunted at first, because when I brought it home, sometimes you don't feel anything off them for a while.
Yeah.
You
No, it takes a
know,
little bit for them to show
yeah,
their true
it's just like,
identity.
yeah, sometimes you can buy a haunted house and not realize for like a year or two down the road. And like sometimes people go to me, why am I all of a sudden feeling activity? I said, well, maybe for one, maybe they're starting to get comfortable around you. But anyways, this guy, I didn't hear anything or had no activity from him at all. Then the one night, I'm just getting ready for bed, and I thought my son was playing a joke, sitting there touching it, making it rock back and forth. And inside, it's got the little balls that, when you shake it, it goes rattle, rattle, rattle.
Yeah.
Well, it was sitting there doing that, and I looked over, and I even checked around the other side of the table, and he's not there. He's in his bedroom sleeping. I'm like, okay, I just let that by, like maybe I hit the table as I'm going to the bathroom. All of a sudden, I'm laying down, same thing happens again, and I thought, okay, it must be the dog. So didn't think nothing of it again. Till the next morning, I decided to play it on videotape or on the video. And sure enough, the thing just started sitting there going like this slowly, and
Yeah.
then a little faster, and then it just stopped. And I thought, okay, it was moving by itself. So, but some days you just don't understand it, but some days you
No,
do. And
sometimes stuff just happens. That's just the way it is. I've got,
yeah,
like, if you come into my reading room where I do my sessions for customers, for clients, I've got a lot of stuff in here that has a lot of meaning to me.
yes,
And it's not evil in any way, but it would look evil because it's very earth oriented. A lot of stuff is very earth oriented. It's animals and different, like turtle shells and different things like that. And I've got a couple of skulls that I got from a Halloween store, and everybody was just terrified of them. And I was like, they're just plastic skulls. Like you can see the
yeah,
one behind me. And but they were so scared of them, so I turned them into showgirls. I put a flower on their head with a feather. So that's Shaniqua. And then the other one I call Charlene. So it's Charlene and Shaniqua. They're my backup singers when I do my tours and stuff. So we
yes,
always joke about it, but they're just plastic. Like that's all they are. But everybody's like, oh, I'm so scared of them. I'm like, why? It's just a plastic, To me, it represents my ancestors. It's a symbol to me to represent wisdom from my ancestors. But a lot of people don't look at it that way. They just think it's haunted and scary and they run for their lives.
exactly.
They don't understand. What you don't understand, you fear, I guess, right? So
That's
when you get a
right.
little better, like when you get a little bit more experience, you learn not to be scared of anything until it actually has to show its face, like show its real identity, right?
That's right. So for my prize giveaway tonight, if somebody can answer a trivia question correctly, this is a dragon head made out of amethyst.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
This is
Dragon
Sue.
is my birth animal.
So my one question is tonight to ask the audience and anybody that would like to come live, just ask to join in. I'll pull you up and I'll ask you a question about Barb here tonight. And if you can answer it correctly, you can win this guy.
That's an awesome dragon head made out of amethyst. That's
Yes.
great. I've got a few crystals and baubles here in my house, but I'm more of a stone kind of girl. A lot of stones, a lot of crystals.
Yeah,
I've been collecting them all my life, so I've got quite a few, but it starts to add up and you start to run out of room eventually. I wear a lot of amethyst, you'll see, just for psychic protection at all
yes,
times. I always
exactly.
do. It enhances your psychic abilities, but it also enhances your ability to see what's coming and know, right?
That's right.
But people think like, oh, she's psychic, she knows what I'm thinking. And they don't realize that we have morals, and it's a moral obligation, like for anybody, like not to look into someone's mind or to read what they're thinking, and that's their private thought. And you don't want to delve into that. Like that's not for you. Like a lot of us instinctively know when we're talking to somebody if they don't like us or something, and
That's right.
you just that's your intuition telling you that, and that's just strengthened when you're a psychic. But you just act pleasant and pretend you don't know. That's their right to have that opinion of you if they don't like you, but you can't change it. And if they don't want to divulge it to you, then that's their choice too, and you just have to live with that. But
That's
that's
right.
one of the reasons that I don't do medium work anymore. I was once asked to search for a person who was missing, and they said, please help us find this person. It had been 3 days she had been missing. They said, we really need to find her. And it was very suspicious how she disappeared. It was very strange, and she was a local woman. So her best friend come to me and said, please help me find her. So that night I did a meditation and went to sleep. And when I got up in the morning, I phoned her up and I said to her, hey, she took off down the highway, and I'm pretty sure it was the 401, and she's heading towards the Windsor area. But she told me to get lost. She's alive, and she told me to get lost and mind my own business. And she said, what? And I said, she's alive. She just doesn't want to be found. I said, but I don't think she's in good shape. But she told me to mind my own business, so I'm minding my own business. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, the next day they found her, and she was in pretty bad shape. She had taken a lot of pills, and she had been in the car the whole time. And they did find her, though, when they took her to a hospital. So about 6 months later, there was a gathering, a birthday for that friend of mine, that girlfriend of mine, and we all
Mhm.
attended. And the lady who was missing had never met me. And I had only went looking for her in my psychic realm, in my astral travel, in my REM state, I guess you would call it, my alpha state.
Uh-huh.
And when I was standing in line to get a sandwich at the party, that lady come up and stood beside me and turned right around, looked right at me, and she said, I know you from somewhere. And I started to laugh because I thought, yeah, you told me to screw right off that one day. I said, I don't think I want to tell you who I am. So I thought, I'm just going to back away. So that's why I don't do medium work. I just don't, because it's not polite to go into other people's thoughts, and it's just not right. If they want you to be there, then they'll invite you in. But
That's
if you're
right.
not invited, then I'm not going there.
I was invited to do a missing calls case back in Bruce Haven. I believe it was in 2021. I believe it was. I'll send you the video. But anyways, the area is still closed to this day, permanently closed. Uh, Three missing girls went missing back in two in the 60s and one in the early 70s. Myself, I wasn't born until 1974. But I got a call from a lady up in Bruce Haven to come check out an area. I went up there, and on her property, I ended up finding one of the graves of the girls. They had to call in the OPP.
Yeah.
Uh, and to this day, the area is still closed off. And the truck we found out in the woods and everything, I said to them, that's linked to all three murders, which I was correct again. And the area to this day is still closed. And I just hit this one spot and I looked at my team and I said, there's something here. I started digging in the ground. I didn't even get maybe 2 feet in the ground and I hit red carpet.
Yeah.
And in the red carpet was little blonde hairs. And I knew right then and there to stop. And we called in the authorities and they found some more bones and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. And only 2 out of the 3 of the graves have been found, and I think that's the reason why the area is still closed off to this day. And they recently, back a few months ago, asked me to go back up. I told them no because of my traumatic brain injury. You know, it's too much for me to go up and down these hills, you know, and otherwise I would. But myself, I don't do missing cases anymore. I used to do them quite often, at least 1 or 2 a year. And I find they drain you as well.
Well, they are very draining, right? I'll
Yes,
try and help a little bit, but I just don't want to go into that space anymore. I'm older now and I just don't want to go there. It's just,
exactly.
it's none of, it's, I feel bad that somebody's missing, or, if there's a way I can help without divulging like too much of my energy, because it will drain you right down and you'll spend your whole life trying to figure it out. So
Yes,
I've seen enough murders in my lifetime that I don't want to be near anymore. So I've had some pretty bad experiences in my life, and I'm pretty sure being psychic is probably the reason that I was involved with a lot of these murders that were around me.
well,
And
you want to hear something really funny? My best friend, his girlfriend, her best friend, myself, okay? The ambulances were both called at 3:01 in the morning. I had a heart attack at the age of 18. She got decapitated by the head on Bower Hill Road. The ambulances were both called exactly at 3:01 in the morning. I ended up surviving.
yeah,
And when I still talk to this guy today, we still can't believe that I was his best friend, which we still are today. Sometimes we still
yeah,
talk, if not. And his ex, her best friend, we still can't believe to this day that the ambulances were both called exactly at 3:01 a.m.
same
in the
time.
morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It's a problem like that we have, like I call it a problem, but it's part of being a psychic or whatever it is that we get connected with all this stuff
yes,
that you don't want to be connected with, but you are connected. I went to school with probably about 5 or 6 different girls, and there's only 2 of us left. The rest were all killed by their husbands. So I've got a lot of things that happened to me even as a young child when I was 5 or 6, cutting through a field, and somebody asked me where my brother was, and I said I didn't know, and I continued to walk through the field and go home. And a few hours later, the police were asking my parents if they had seen anybody in the field, and they said, well, my daughter had just come back, and they said to me, who did you see in the field? And I told them, and it turned out that that was the guy that had just killed 2 girls that were walking ahead of me.
oh,
So, and that's just the start of it. Like my whole
yeah,
life is like that. It's just one thing after another, and it's just not easily accepted, or, you just think that's normal, but it's not normal in any way. And you learn to adapt, but it's pretty crazy stuff. I just had a girlfriend come and hang out with me for a weekend, and we were talking about, how we've seen so much stuff in our lifetime, and how could one person experience all that in one lifetime. And we both are the same way. And we just laughed it off. And it's just part of life, but it's not. It's very traumatic, but you just have to laugh and keep going. That's all you can do. You don't really have a choice. But there's a lot of stuff that psychics go through that people are not aware of. It's not the
Exactly.
easiest thing to be as a psychic because a lot of that stuff comes to you. And I don't know if it's to teach us lessons that we're supposed to learn from to help other people, or like what it's for, but there's stuff that happens that you just most people could not handle.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. Psychics are just, we just have that something about it, right? It's
Yeah.
just something weird. It's just very strange stuff.
Which reminds me, I got a friend that I got to get back hold of. He just lost his wife just a few days ago, and they're asking me to come by and do some mediumship work. And just I've been busy lately on not just with my time, but doctors, not because my TBI is still to this day. I'm still recovering in that. But I got to get back to him. It's sad, and the saddest thing is she wasn't very old at all. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I've been up there a few times to do some work for them, uh, which is kind of confidential because I can't really discuss it unless they give me permission to. But
Yeah.
they're asking me right now for some help and support, which I got to get back to them. I think their funeral is this Sunday. I'd have to double check that. They messaged me not long ago. But anyways, it's kind of sad. I was about to give information, but I can't.
No, you don't need to, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's all
but
part of doing what we do, right? You just
yes,
help other people any which way you can, right?
yes,
I never had any children growing up because I was very business oriented. And now all I do is help a lot of friends that don't have any family. So that's what my mission was for. There's a reason I didn't have kids, and it's so that way I can help my friends who don't have family, who need my help.
yes.
And my husband's the same way. We're both the same. We help a lot of people.
Have you ever been, okay, at a convention? You have your set prices to go for your shows and do your tarot cards, whatnot, kind of work you do, right? Have you ever had people approach you and ask you that you can't charge those prices from
Oh,
other
no.
vendors?
No, 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 no. I was at an event one time and I was triple what everybody else was, and I was busier than everybody else. And it wasn't because I knew more than them. It was because people looked at me as if mine must have had more value because of the price of it. So they value
Yeah,
your opinion or your gift more when they have to pay for it. So there was a lady beside me who was giving away free readings, and it wasn't good because people were just going up and abusing her. They weren't even
yeah,
serious. It was like a joke when they went up to her, and I thought, why are you doing that to yourself? What are you doing? Like, charge them money. Don't let them do that to you. I said, like, people have to have a value, or they don't feel like they got anything. And
exactly.
that is big. Like, you really need to, look at that. And it sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, if you didn't pay for it, then you don't value it. There's no lesson in it. So there's no lesson to learn if you didn't pay for it, I guess. So you better pay for it. But no, I put my prices like up reasonably to 150 for a session. And to me, that's cheap. And people are like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, well, then I guess you'll go somewhere else because that's what I charge. And my sessions are timed. I say that they're timed. I say they're 60 to 90 minutes, but a lot of times I'm 2 hours with somebody. It just depends
Yeah,
what I need to do for that person, like what they're here for. So I don't advertise that I'm a medium. I don't do medium work. I will teach you how to connect to your loved ones yourself so that you have the ability to do it yourself anytime you want. You don't have to go to a medium. And I also help a lot of people who've been to psychics who are like very not good people. I have a lot of people phone me up and they want to know what I charge to remove a curse. And I said, what do you mean a curse? And they said, well, I've been cursed and I've been told this by another psychic. And I said, well, I don't think you're cursed. I don't see anything. And they're like, well, I think I'm cursed. And I said, no, I said, I don't think so. I'm scanning you right now and I don't see nothing. And they said, well, they want $500 to remove the curse in Costco Gold. And what do you charge? And I said, I just cleared you for free. You're good to go. And they're like,
Yeah,
oh, and then they hang up. And I'm like, who are these people who are doing this? Like, it's not nice. Like, people are very gullible. I find when I advertise that I'm a metaphysical spirit guide. So I help you connect with yourself, is what I do. I help you connect to your spirit guides and you yourself. I try and empower you to believe that you have the ability that I do. You don't need to go to a stranger for answers. They're inside you. Let me show you how to get them.
exactly.
That's what I try to do with people. And people get mad at me because I do that. Or they come to me and they want easy answers. And there is no easy answers. You have to work for everything that you get. And if somebody tells you the easy answer, then you got nothing out of that, and it ain't going to happen anyway because it was too easy. You
Or you
have to
have,
work it.
or I have some that come up and tell me and say, well, aren't you supposed to be the healer? I said, no, the healing's within you.
Yeah,
I said, it's not within me, it says within you.
yeah,
You know, and they're like, well, you still lost me, so I'll explain it to them, right? And I said, the work's within you. I only can give you the advice. And they're like, okay, I'm getting you now. And it's like, well, what I tell you, it's basically you got to put the work and effort into it.
yeah. No, they
You
do.
know?
They don't like it.
Yes,
It's like I
that's
tell
right.
everybody the story of chocolate cake. So
Yes,
the best chocolate cake used to be Devil's Food chocolate cake. And if you want a chocolate cake, you can just go to the store with your money, the root of all evil, and buy your chocolate cake. That's done the easy way. So that is what we consider the dark side because it was done easy. There was no lessons there. So
right.
if you decide that, hey, I only want chocolate cake from Love and Light, from the good side, they're like, okay, go slam your finger in the door for a second, and it's going to hurt like hell, and you're going to swear, and you're going to say, why did I do that? Oh, you learned that lesson not to slam your finger in the door? Here's a pound of butter. And you're like, what? And they're like, okay, now your girlfriend's going to talk behind your back, and you're going to phone her up, and you're going to bitch her out. You've lost a friend now when you could have just shut your mouth and let her cooled off a little bit. But you learned that lesson. Now here's a half a cup of flour. And you're like, what? And it takes you a couple weeks and you finally got all your ingredients and you can make your chocolate cake. But you had to
That's
learn
it.
all those lessons to get those ingredients. And
That's
that's the
right.
cake that comes from Love and Light. And a lot of people they don't want to hear that. They just want to go to the store and buy chocolate cake. And that's why they go to psychics, because they want the easy answers. And a
That's
really
right.
good psychic, I can't speak now, will help you develop your own intuition to
That's
get
right.
that, right?
They'll become your coach.
Yeah, they're your coach to get you through it, like to help you through it, what you can't see, right? And
That's right.
99% of it is grounding yourself. That's the big one. It's like, make sure you're grounded. Make sure you're grounded. That's the big one. That's what I tell everybody when they come in. I'm actually going to paint my reading room red. So that way, when they're here, they're grounded. It's like we're going right to their root chakra when they come in the door. I said, I've got to try and figure out a way to help these people quicker, you know?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just looking at the time. I've got to be somewhere at 9 o'clock, so I better get off of here.
Okay. And I want to thank you very much.
Well, we'll have to do it again, and I'll know next time use my phone. Don't use my
Yes. And next
laptop.
time,
There's no join button on the laptop. I'm not kidding you.
the thing is, I learned something tonight myself because I didn't know that they had to be on a phone to be invited, you know. And so
I
next time if they
searched and
can't,
searched. I went between like I was just scrolling everywhere like I'm watching you talk, but there wasn't one button to click to join you, and I was like, it's got to be here somewhere.
but I
You don't
even
know.
canceled the first live, and I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was my settings and
No, as soon
everything.
as I went and
So
got my cell phone, boom, there you were. I was like, look at that. Nice and easy. Now we know. Now we know.
yes. Okay,
Use
what
the
I'm going to
phone.
do, the article I wrote on you last year, I'm going to post it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
That way people know more about you. And
Yeah, if anybody wants to come to Strathroy and find some of the hot spots, they can start right here at my house. I'll show them.
there you guys go. And I'll put her link down for more ghost walks later on as well. I think her next one is what, September 26th?
Yeah, I've got one September and then I got some in October, and my dinner seances start in October too.
Okay, I'll put them
That's
up as
something
well
new
for
I'm
you.
doing. The last couple of years I've been doing them, and they're a lot of fun.
Or even better, if you got an email or anything you want people to
Yeah,
get in contact, just send it to me and I'll post it online for you.
yeah. I just use Facebook. It's easiest, it's the cheapest, keeps things streamlined, simple. If you want to
Yes,
connect with me on Facebook. I don't need no web page. I'm not into multi-million-dollar businesses. It's just me sitting here at my house helping people,
same here.
trying to avoid all the ghosts.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Don. We'll talk to you again.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Miss Barbara. I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight. I got a couple good shows coming up in September as well, so you might want to join us in for that too. Anyways, I want to thank you all once again for joining us. You know, if there's anything you guys want to know or want to be part of to the show, just send me a message. I'll be glad to answer it for you. And when I leave tonight, hang in there because I'm going to share the one song where you can actually see the orb come through my leg. It's called Lost in the Fade. I'm going to post that right after I get off here for you all to watch. I'm also a songwriter. You know, I've researched the paranormal for over 20 years. And what I'm trying to do is bring you guys good content to watch during the night. And I'm digging deep into my contacts, you know, to find some good locations and people and guests for you all, like I did tonight with Miss Barbara. I'll even post, I'll get her to send me some more links of other shows she's been on, like Haunted Hospital and whatnot. If she's got any, and I'll post them out for you, like I did earlier this week with the one post of my haunted hometown of Strathroy, Ontario. You know, I did an article on Miss Barbara about a year and a half ago, and it's really got really good information to it, and something to think there. Like I said, I don't write things down much anymore because I'm trying to get my memory back to the way it used to be. And it's not fun having a TBI, as you heard me here tonight, struggle through a few things here. Sometimes I have a speech problem, and it depends on how tired or not I get. You know, I was hit by a car walking home from work with my son, and I ended up with fractured skull, facial fracture as well, bleeding of the brain in this spot and once over here. And they said it was just as bad as having a stroke. So I've stepped down from, I tried to get back into paranormal investigations after, and it wasn't working out too well for me. So I stepped back and decided to come out with a show. And during the 6 months of me stepping back, I asked the public what kind of shows and that what they'd like to see. And that's what I'm saying. I'm digging back into my contacts, finding locations and people like Miss Barbara to bring to you guys a good, informative show for you all. If there's anything you guys, like I said, any questions or anything you'd like to see on the show, contact me. Next weekend, I'm going to have another special location. Sometimes I can't broadcast live during these locations. Another reason is because like the location I'm going to next weekend's got gullies and sometimes it's hard to get Wi-Fi signal. So if I can't get the signal, I'm going to do a test drive first. If I can't get a signal, I'm going to pre-record everything with my witness and all that, and we're going to get it all ready to go. And if it ain't Saturday night, it'll be Sunday like I did last time, but last time I got it on Saturday late evening for everybody. So I do my best to get everything on there as quick as possible for everybody because, like I said, I know y'all love to be informed of the paranormal. My next guest will be September 13th. It's a Friday. She's an author of many, many books. Over 20 books anyway that I know of. There may be more. She's on Amazon. Her name is Angel Bell. I'll post her coming up shortly as well. So hang in there.
within all this week, I'll have all the information out for everybody, but I'm going to post that song Lost in the Fade so y'all can see that one moment where I said that something felt like tapped me in the leg, and as you see the orb go through. So I'm off, everybody. Love yous all. Thank you for joining me, and God bless.